Hi everyone. Sorry, the internet connection is pretty bad today. So let I welcome you all to yet another episode of Expert Roundup, and today we have our amazing guest Danny Carlson. Danny is co-founder of Kenji ROI, a service, a company which offer almost every Amazon services. Apart from this, Danny is 29 years old, young entrepreneur who has been featured in different magazines. Like he has been featured in Forbes, he has been featured in Entrepreneur, he has been featured in Founder. So let's hear from Danny. He has been living in Indonesia for last 2 years and enjoying his entrepreneur life. Hi, Danny. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, pleasure to come on here. And it's really interesting to meet all the Pakistani Amazon community here. We actually work with a few Pakistani team members, but I didn't realize that there was 500,000 Pakistani Amazon sellers in your Facebook group. That's really interesting.
So you have been working with Pakistani, like you have people like from Pakistan in your team?
Yeah, in the Amazon ads department, there's a few people that help us out there. And yeah, some of the hardest workers for sure.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. Good to know this, right? Oh my God, that's good. So Danny, tell something about your like you have been featured in Forbes. So tell us something like why you have been featured in Forbes, right? That's a dream come true thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And
Then
so
मुझे
that one in
internet चाहिए
particular,
भाई.
and can you guys hear me okay? So, I mean, the Forbes feature was really about the different changes that are going on in the world. And right now, one of the biggest changes, luckily for all the people on this call here, is that Amazon is just taking off, right? People are selling tons and tons of products on Amazon, and buying behavior, like everyone locked up in COVID, everyone just started buying stuff on Amazon basically. So there's a huge trend just being pushed to a lot of businesses moving on to Amazon. So Kenji ROI has been in this space for about 5 years now, and we're one of the more established listing optimization companies. So we're lucky enough to get a feature in a Forbes article about just that big change that's going on in the world in e-commerce, and just really, obviously good to be a part of that very massive change in a very large industry right now.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So let me tell you guys few things, right? Like Danny is good when it's like Danny's amazing when it's come to scaling businesses. He himself scaled Kenji RI to a level that it's became one of the largest, one of the biggest service providing like for Amazon service providing services. He has been an official partner of Amazon, right? For when it's come to selling services. Is this right, Danny?
Yeah, so I mean, we're a part of a few of Amazon's programs. Like, I don't know if you could really say that we're an official partner of Amazon, but we are, for example, on the Seller Provider Network. So if you log into your Seller Central account and then look for the, the recommended sellers on the Service Provider Network, we're one of those sellers, as well as on the Amazon ad side as well. So, yeah, there's certain benefits to that, but honestly, like most of the business comes from just hot leads in SEO. People are just searching for these services. Like so many businesses just need these services right now that we're getting the vast majority of our leads through just people searching for it and just finding our website.
Yes, exactly. So, I've been selling on Amazon for the past 5 years, and this Amazon selling seller provider network is quite new thing. I never took any service from them except for the IP accelerator programs. I never took because I love to search on Google and read reviews, and then I used to get services. So I think this is how it works, right? Most of the people they search it on Google, right? Instead of getting
Yeah.
Amazon provider services.
So,
Oh
I
my
mean, you
God,
have to think of
man.
Amazon as like, yeah, and I love playing around. I just got this new toy where I could switch
Oh
around the
my God,
camera views and
this
stuff
is
like that.
amazing.
So I'm going
This
to
is
be doing
amazing
this for sure over the
for the
course of
whole
the interview.
time.
But I mean, Google just has way more people who use Google, right? Like everybody has a phone in their pocket that probably has Google installed on it if they're Android, or you use Google for searching, right? Amazon, it's great to have a listing on the service provider network, but that's a very small amount of people. That's only Amazon sellers who have their Seller Central account already set up, who would even know to look in the service provider network section of the Seller Central account. So there's good quality leads that come in through there. But I mean, Google is just everybody who's searching for something on the internet, right? It's a much bigger pool.
Yeah. So one thing I need to ask, right, Danny? Is so are you an Amazon seller yourself, or you are only providing services?
So I started off myself as an Amazon seller. That's how I got all of the experience and really understood Amazon. And that was actually going really well for like the first 6 months or so. I actually got the revenue up to $40,000, $50,000 a month. And then I was faced with the first big roadblock in that business, which I got an Amazon account suspension. So anyone who has dealt with that knows how much of a big pain it can be and expensive as well. So after it was all said and done, I had to hire a trademark lawyer to dispute that claim, and then I actually never ended up getting that account back. And what ended up happening, like I at first it looked like I was going to be totally screwed. I actually managed to sell my shares of the business to someone else, and they kind of took it over there on their own Amazon account. So it wasn't a total loss, but that was the point. That was really the point where it shifted all my focus into Kenji ROI. I was doing a little bit of the freelancing work on the side while I was selling on Amazon. But at the end of the day, you're growing a new Amazon business that's doing less than $1 million a year or even a couple $1 million a year. It's very hard to take profit outside of that business and just start paying yourself a big salary, right? So that was kind of my big shifting moment, taking that experience of getting my own Amazon business off the ground to $40,000, $50,000 a month, and then just really helping other people's businesses in the service-based model. And for me, that's worked really well over the last almost 5 years now. It's been.
Yeah, so I can relate to it. So the pain of sellers himself, like yourself, and then when you started with Kenji, alright, so you know what are the complexities that seller usually face on daily basis, so you can cater them way better, right? So one thing which came to my mind, right? You have been living in Indonesia for the past 2 years, but you are from Canada. Why you are living in Indonesia and enjoying this entrepreneur lifestyle? Like I see your pictures, you always into this motorbiking and other like the sports thing. How you manage your time? Because this is something which most of the people wants to know. Here in Pakistan, people are hardworking. They really work hard. They spend 18 hours on their screen. They sleep for like 6 hours every day. They are on their computer working with their clients and everything. So how you manage this like such a big company and enjoying your life?
Yeah, well, there's kind of a lot to unpack there. Like the first thing is living in Indonesia. I really like Indonesia and Bali specifically because it has a really great quality of life, but it has quite a bit more freedom. So, I mean, first thing is the obvious thing is money. So I come from Vancouver in Canada, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. And just like my dollar in Vancouver goes way less far than it does in Bali. But the great thing about Bali, it's got that good mix of being fairly low cost for the value, but also you have access to everything you could really want out of a big city as well. Like you can like live in a really nice villa and you can go to and order whatever you need at the shopping mall or on Tokopedia, which is like the Indonesian version of Amazon basically. But besides the money thing, there's also just a general sense of more freedom. So you mentioned motorcycles. I love riding motorcycles and fast sport bikes, like MotoGP style kind of stuff. But in Canada, it's no fun because if you get caught speeding, you're going to just get your license taken away very quickly. And there's just very high penalties for speeding. But in Indonesia, the police officers don't care. Like there's literally groups of, last weekend, I was in the middle of a group of 85 motorcycles, all just ripping through the mountains on these windy roads. And like the police, I've never seen the police try to pull over someone for riding, right? It's just a general attitude of more freedom instead of that rigid, you have to follow all of these rules kind of thing like they have in Canada. And then when it comes to the last part of your question, like how do I have the time to go and do all this stuff? So like there's no getting around it. I definitely put in long work hours, like longer than your average 40-hour week, 9-to-5 employee. But the reason I'm not a complete slave to the business is because and at certain points I was a complete slave to the business, but it's because of the way the business is structured, right? So right now we have about 20 employees. And I would be a complete slave to the business if each leader in the company was not a self-sufficient leader. And we're still working through that too, just to make each department self-sufficient. But essentially, before you get to that point, as a business owner, you're the octopus with 8 arms, right? Every decision is coming back to you and you have to make a decision, and you're just the big holdup in the business. You're just the bottleneck that 7 other people are waiting for a decision from you, and then you're just holding everything up, right? And then you're going to get stressed out and burnt out. But as you grow larger, like maybe 10 or 15 employees, you just really have to have people who are leaders within the company, people who can be self-sufficient and responsible for things in the company, where they can just take care of it, and they're not coming to you with every decision, and they don't come to you for needing help with everything like that. And you can work one-on-one with each of those leaders to improve their leadership and to prove their autonomy and to enable them to be more autonomous, right? If you don't set it up like that, then you're just inevitably going to be a slave to your business. And even businesses that are very large have people who just are slaves to the business, right? And if you don't structure it that way, you will never not be a slave to your business.
Oh my God. I completely relate to it. The things that you said, I agree with each and every word, because you cannot be a slave of your business. Like, you just need to create people who can make decision for your business. And the decision that they make, they should be putting themselves as like as how you are going to make decisions. And I completely agree with you on this part, that Canada is expensive, Bali is like less expensive, and the dollar value is great. So we call here in Pakistan this concept as sasti zameen concept. Like, for example, someone living in US making $10,000, but if he moved to Malaysia, Pakistan, Indonesia, or anywhere, this 10,000 that he used to make in US is like pretty much he can spend a whole lot of things when he will be living in a cheap place, not in a cheap place, but a place which is less expensive. So this concept really works. This works for all the entrepreneurs. I would definitely say people living in Canada, like for like showing off their Merce and showing off their Audi and everything. So instead, they should move to a place which is less expensive, so they can enjoy the life. Like, okay, so let's get to some Amazon questions, right? Like, as I know personally that there are two favorite areas of yours when it's come to offering services. One is ads, and another is listing optimization. So why these are the areas that you usually covered on your different podcasts and shows? Why?
Yeah, I mean, we originally started as a listing optimization company. We actually only started with one service, which was listing copywriting. So just writing the Amazon listings with good keywords and just good sales copywriting is the term for that, like sales psychology. And we only started with that one service, and then just slowly expanded out to say, hey, all of our clients also want product photography. So we started working with photographers. They also want video and A+ content, right? But I mean, the problem with that is that in itself is very, very complicated. So it's very hard to scale that past a certain point. Like, if I just doubled the amount of revenue coming in from listing optimization for Kenji ROI overnight, it would create a massively complex nightmare to double the listing optimization fulfillment team, right? So that's why we're really focused and brought in Amazon ads as well. It makes more sense to increase the value of each customer that we work with, each client that we work with, than it does to try to double the amount of clients that we're working with in total. So adding Amazon ads management onto that is really good. But we also didn't want to go too broad, right? That's a big mistake that a lot of people make, is just trying to offer every single service that you possibly can. So I have friends who have full service agencies where they just basically take over the Amazon account and they're running everything. And it's very hard for them to scale, right? It's just so difficult when they have to have team members for so many different parts of a business that it's just very hard to systematize everything. And it's possible to become really, really good at 7 things, right? So we focused on listing optimization for our first 3 years in business completely, and we got really, really good at listing optimization. And then we're doing the same thing for Amazon ads. For the last 2 years, we've been focused similarly on Amazon ads. And then we're getting really, really good at that. But what we're not doing is also doing product launch services and also doing full ads management and doing review management and all that kind of stuff.
So the secret sauce is like you expand your services with time. You haven't started everything in one go. First, you started with listing optimization services, and then you jump into ads services. So you haven't started everything from day one, and that's key, right? You just made yourself like so good, your team, and you just made your customer convinced that this is the best service that you offer, and this is by far one of the best one. So I really like this idea. One of subscriber is asking how much time you spend daily in learning all these new techniques and tips.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. So like right now, for example, I'm working with 2 different mentors. And so there's quite a lot that on a daily basis, I mean, I would say minimum on a really busy day, I'm going to cram in half an hour of some videos on 2x speed. But on a heavy day, like, on a heavy day right now, when I'm working with 2 different mentors, I'll probably dedicate, up to 3 hours maybe in a day. And I think the right answer here is, one, to have some kind of consistency. Like if you're just not doing it for a week or 2 weeks in a row and then you're doing something, that's probably not good. So maybe set like at least half an hour a day. Like I like to have that consistency. But the other answer is that for me, it always goes in waves, right? So like one of the mentors I'm working with right now is helping us scale our sales team, which is just a really important objective that we need to dedicate to. And I need to learn a lot to actually implement that. It's a whole nother thing, really. So it makes sense for me as a CEO to focus a lot of my time on a daily basis to that, and being on calls with mentors and watching videos and things like that until I get that up and set up, right? But for me to dedicate 3 hours every day doesn't make any sense, right? It makes sense until the point that we get the result of the sales team set up the way that we need it. So it definitely ranges. Oh, I think we lost you.
Sorry, I just broke up.
Oh, we got you back there. Sadi is saying on 2x speed. Yeah, always got to watch on 2x speed. I can't. I'm too impatient for just regular speed videos.
I know. Okay, so we have from Noman. He asks, if we spend too much time in answering the questions of client on freelancing platform and want to free that time but cannot hand over your established account to anyone, what is the solution of this issue?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one. So it really depends on what stage you are of your freelancing or your agency, right? If you're only freelancing, obviously you're going to have to be the one answering the messages, but there will become a certain point where it does make sense to hire someone to take over the messages. The correct term for that usually is an account manager. That's someone who is, managing your client accounts, as in communicating with your clients. Now, that's a person that's a fairly high level hire, right? You can't just hire the cheapest possible person, like a virtual assistant who has low skill, and expect them to be able to communicate well with your clients and understand their needs and understand how you can help them and all. It's a bit complicated, right? So it doesn't make sense to hire that person until you have a decent amount of clientele and decent cash flow coming in, so you can afford to hire that person on a continual monthly basis. Now, I mean, for me, I think we hired that person somewhere around $15,000 a month. But I mean, I'm not sure how much it really costs in Pakistan to hire someone like that. We're hiring someone in Canada where you're going to have to pay them a lot more. So that's a bit of a tricky one, to be honest. Like for sure, in the beginning, at least until you have like 3 employees, I'd say you should be the one managing the client messages. But even at that point, you can batch it out, right? Don't set the expectation with your clients that you're going to be online all day, every day. And if they complain that you're not responding fast enough, be like, hey, like I just batch my messages. I come into them at this time and this time every day because I'm focused on getting you the result that you paid me for. And clients are going to understand that, but only if you set the expectations with that and you're actually strict with that. Otherwise, they're going to expect you, like if you're always answering them the second that they message you, then they're going to start to expect that. And then also, you're not going to be able to focus on the things that are really driving your business forward, right? Like you've really got to batch it if you're the one who's answering all the messages like that.
But I think for initial conversations and for the initial days when you just start with your client, you need to be for like there for him. Not all the time, but still for your specific hours, you need to entertain him. You need to give him all the information that he needs. But with time, definitely you need to show him that, okay, you are not the only client that you have been working with, but you need to complete his work all the time before he's asking even for it. So you need to be with him for the time, for the specific hours, but not for the whole day. Like client is messaging you at middle of this night and you are still replying him because he's your client. So I don't think this is how it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to set good expectations and just be strict with yourself on when you're going through your messages and then when you're working on your client work, right? Because I mean, it's just a complete nightmare trying to just multitask and go back and forth between the messages and stuff like that. And then it's not good, clean communication. Super, super important with clients to be super clean and clear with your communications. And if you're an Upwork messenger, just like pinging little pieces of information, dripping it throughout the day, that's not the most efficient way to do that. And it's probably going to be a nightmare to go scroll back through that conversation later to find a piece of information. Much better to be like, do a little bit of prep work. Okay, so from the client, I need this and this and this, and I need a decision on these things. Put that in a bullet point list, fire it off to them, and then don't even check your messages until the next day, and they've gotten back to you with all the stuff that you need, right? That is just much better way to go back to it.
That's perfect example of it. So okay, so we have from Salim, and he asks how you manage your exhaustion. That's
yeah. I
interesting
mean,
one.
yeah, that is one that it changes all the time, right? Like if you're working really hard, you're inevitably going to come up against exhaustion. There's lots of things that I do on a daily basis to try to help with that, but certainly there's times, like I would say for me, it happens maybe once a month, once every 2 months, where I just like I reach a point for a couple days in a row, I'm going to be like out of the zone, right? I'm just like low energy and low motivation to be working on whatever I need to be working on. And in those situations, I think it's really important to listen to your body and just chill out for a little while. Just realize that not everything's going to get done on your to-do list. Don't just continue to push through it, because for me, that's when I just start to, become useless, right? And if I try to continue to push through that when I'm burnt out, I'm going to just like inevitably just start scrolling stuff on Instagram, right? That's just not productive, right? It's better for me to just take a step back and just go ride my motorcycle or something like that, or just like go do something I enjoy doing, spend some extra time in the gym and the sauna and stuff like that. But there's other things too, like that you can do to avoid that as much as possible. Obviously, just like the real core things, like getting sleep. Sleep is the number one for sure. Like just sacrificing sleep is just not good in the long run. And then exercise, and then sauna and ice bath really help for me. And if I stick to those things pretty well, then I'll burn out less frequently for sure. But I mean, it's also very important to recognize when you are too burnt out and just like take a step back, knowing that you're not going to accomplish all of the work for the day. Just do the bare minimum, most important things, and then just take that time to chill out instead of trying to push through it, right?
Yeah. So like some of the viewers, they like your sitting style. They were like, your sitting style is awesome, Denny. Like people loved it. Your camera thing is amazing. I'm in love with it. Probably I'm going to get this one for sure.
Oh yeah,
So
it's such a good toy. I'm still just playing with
yes.
this thing to figure out how it really works. But
Actually,
yeah, I can put overlays and like all this fancy stuff once I figure that out. So that'll be next time.
Okay, so today we have some guests from other places as well, right? So Jennifer says, like, how do you deal with clients who keep trying to take out free information and advice from you? So probably this is one of the best ones. I really like this, and need to hear what you're gonna say.
So, I mean, it depends really where that client is in your sales cycle, right? Is it a client that's already paying you money, or is it a prospective client that you're talking to in the sales process? And this is a bit of a difficult, nuanced one to figure out, because it's going to be different for every person. Like some prospective client, if they're not paying you yet, they're trying to figure out if you're the right person to pay, right? So you really should be giving them some real solid information that could help them, and they're going to trust you enough to pay you money. Right. But if it's a client that is just continually hitting you up with messages and trying to get on calls all the time to just figure out a bunch of stuff that they're not paying you for, it's very important to set clear expectations about, what is and what isn't okay when it comes to this working relationship. That's super, super clear. It's a lot better if you do that up front, like in your upfront communication with the client before they pay you money. Like, okay, so like this is what's going to be included, and we don't include these things, like just whatever the most common things people are asking you for that they shouldn't be asking you for, just put those there. But the second that they start doing that, maybe you engage with them a little bit and give them a little bit of information and help. But if they continue to do it past a certain point, you really just got to take a step back and just tell them like, hey, you know what, to be honest, like that's not really how this working relationship works. Like if you want, I can point you towards another contractor I know who's really good at this, and they can help you out with that. Right. It's a polite way of saying, leave me alone. And you're not paying me to do all this extra stuff, right?
So Danny, let me ask you one thing. When you start with your service business, so did you start with with Kenji arrive from day one? Like you set up your website and you start selling services from there, or did you start with Fiverr, Upwork, different freelancing platform?
Yeah, it was. I think we had a website in the beginning of some kind, but the vast majority of our leads in the beginning came from Facebook groups.
Okay.
So Facebook groups is just great, right? That Amazon sellers live in Facebook groups. And Facebook group marketing is a tricky thing, and most people do it completely wrong, right? There's so many people in here probably that are just like cold DMing people and stuff like that. That's just not
Hello,
a good way
dear.
to do it on
So
Facebook. Like, it's got to be nuanced.
it's like this. Whenever someone posts something and everyone go there and they type a name, recommended, 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 recommended. Like 50 people are recommending a single guy, and it seems like this is a scam. If that's not a scam, then this is already like there's already plotted thing. And after this, hello dear. Oh my God, you're not supposed to reach out to anyone by saying hello dear. Oh,
Hello, dear. Yeah, yeah. You got to use the language that like the is native to the people who you're talking to as well, because no one in America says hello, dear to each other. That's the first mistake, for sure. And the second mistake, even if you're not saying hello, dear, you're just reaching out to someone who's never seen or interacted with you. That's just not going to get a good reception, right? You have to be a little bit more ninja about the way you go about Facebook group marketing.
yeah.
If you guys want a good example, you guys can check out my profile on Facebook. I think it's I am Danny Carlson on Facebook, and you'll see.
Go
So if
follow
you go
Danny
there,
for sure.
there is my Facebook banner that just says, "Hey, if you want access to this free Amazon course, then click here." And you click on the banner, and there's a link to my Facebook group. Right. So like I can just go post in a bunch of Facebook groups, just a bunch of really valuable stuff, helping people out, and then enough people see that helpful comment because it gets uploaded to the top, and then it starts showing up in people's Facebook news feeds. And then people click on my profile and be like, who is this guy? And then now they're in my funnel. You know, that's the
Yeah.
more ninja way to do it. That doesn't require you to DM everybody, and just like that just has such terrible results, and people think you're just like spammy, right?
Yeah. So I do have a one session with on this for like on this on our YouTube channel. It's on how to use FB right way. How to use FB for client in a right way, because most of the people, they usually made this mistake. They go to inbox, they were right like come inbox or DM me, and they started with hello dear thing. But that's not the right approach. To me, it's if I really want to work with someone, then I need to provide the value first. If there is a question which has to be answered, then I definitely need to answer the things first and with detail. I shouldn't have this intention from day one that I'm going to get work from this group. No, from this person specifically. I just need to provide value, and people will reach out to us if we start providing the value. So it's about getting value from like putting value in Facebook groups instead of come inbox and DM me thing, right?
Oh, exactly. Because it just comes off wrong. Like you remember like 10 years ago when pop-ups were really, before pop-up blockers were a thing, and you go to a website and there's just this pop-up ad in your face and you're like, what the hell? Like just trying to close all these windows. That's what it's like when you're trying to market your services to someone in a DM on Facebook, or like even in a comment, right? People are in the Facebook groups to interact with real people and to get real people's opinions. They're not in there to see your marketing messages, right? It just comes across as like just one of those internet pop-ups. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out your masterclass on that. Sounds like you lead people in the right direction, because so many people are just doing it completely wrong.
Yeah, because so what our goal is, like we want to connect both worlds. People living in Pakistan and people living outside Pakistan. We want to connect them. And if they did not follow the right pattern, then there is like then the effort is complete waste, right? We need to tell them like, okay, that's the right way to do it, instead of go and sending all this hello dear thing. Okay, so Danny, we have like some technical questions now. Johnson asks, what method do you use to double down external traffic to Amazon listing?
Yeah, I mean that's a very complicated thing to answer. Firstly, the first thing I want to say about external traffic is that it's very much dependent on your own marketing skill, what you should be doing for external traffic. So a big mistake a lot of people make is they try to do like 3 different marketing tactics at the same time, and they're not good at any of them, right? It's like I'm going to learn how to do a ManyChat bot, and this is the first one I'm setting up, and so I'm just going to go and spend a bunch of money on this ManyChat bot, and my marketing skill set is not really good. So be honest with yourself, right? If you don't have much experience with ManyChat and Facebook, then you should ask yourself if you really even should be doing that. And if you are very new in all of these marketing tactics, then choose one of them, right? Don't try to go do 3 of them at the same time, because you're going to learn 3 totally different skill sets and try to be successful at all 3 of them at the same time. You're going to get results from none of them, right? Yeah. So that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing I would say is that all of these strategies work, right? I know people who have had great success with driving Facebook shopping ads to their Amazon storefront page, which is really great. I know lots of people who have had success with using ManyChat bots, lots of people with Facebook ads, YouTube ads, but I don't know anybody who is crushing it with all of them, right? I don't know a single person. So it's a very complicated question to answer. There's no right answer for that. I think it's more just know your own self, know your own situation, know what kind of budget you could spend on ads, and just double down on the one platform that you think is going to get you the best results based on that.
Yeah, I agree with it. Okay, so Adil says very important session for me. Okay, Ahmad has one thing. How post-COVID situation have changed the Amazon advertising strategies? What's your take on this, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, not a whole lot. The only thing that's changed really is there's just a lot more people buying stuff on Amazon, which is great. I mean, honestly, I've seen nothing but good things come from that. Like some people are arguing that there's more competition and more sellers have entered the marketplace. And yeah, that's true. But from the numbers that I've seen, like we get some data reports from our Amazon ads rep. From those numbers, it's showing that proportionate to the amount of new buyers that have entered the market, it's not more competitive. There's more buyers entering the market compared to the amount of new sellers that are entering the market. So it's a great time to be entering into Amazon ads. Nothing's really changed that big. There's been a few new feature releases and stuff like that. But I mean, the fundamentals of Amazon ads are exactly the same. There's just more people buying stuff.
Yeah, I agree, completely agree. So Ali says, give me some tips and tricks to get more projects on Fiverr and Upwork, and how to build good relationship with my clients. Clear the some technical examples. So I know you are good when it's come to having a relationship with your clients. Like you are good at it. You know how to get at them. You know how to give them the best possible service on whole universe. So shed some light over this.
Yeah, so the first part of that question is how to get more clients on Upwork and Fiverr. I mean, the biggest mistake I see people in Pakistan or India or countries that are not English first speaking is that their profiles have just English mistakes, right? That's like the number one biggest thing you can do. If your English is not very good, then get someone who's got really great English and go find your friend who's completely fluent in English and get them to look over it and just make corrections to it, because that's just the number one easiest way to just get yourself ahead of all those candidates who have big English mistakes.
Right? You need Grammar Nazi for it. Grammar Nazi can help you with this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just so important. It's so important. And people are going to subconsciously judge your entire business and Amazon skills off of just that one thing. And the second thing is really the photos and your example works. If you don't have really good example work, then don't put it up, right? Don't put up that crappy example that you had when you're just learning how to do Photoshop or something like that. It's better to have nothing than to put up that crap example, right? But you should have a solid base of really good examples of work and stuff like that. Just really optimize your profile like you would optimize your client's Amazon listings. Because it's not that difficult to be in the top 1% of the Upwork listings as far as optimizing, right? There's a lot of really terrible ones out there. So that's number one. And then question number 2 out of that was it how to keep your clients satisfied and in the initial onboarding? What exactly was the question? And how to build good relationships with my client. Clear some technical examples. Yeah, building a good relationship with the client. I mean, I think most of that comes from setting clear expectations. So it's got to be the number one biggest problem that most freelancers or smaller agencies have. And we have just been continually improving upon this, and will continue to improve upon this because it's so important. It's just setting clear expectations. So in your pricing, making it very clear what is included and what is not included as well, and just making sure that that's clearly communicated and there's agreement on that before going ahead with the project, right? Because most of your problems working with clients are going to be where there's mismatch between their expectations and your expectations of what you're producing for them, right? So that alone will get rid of 90% of problems that come up working with clients. And some other ways you can do that is through your onboarding, right? So in your onboarding, maybe you have a contract that just like outlines the most important things that they need to understand about working with you, and it's going to ask them all the questions you need in your intake form, and just really work on streamlining that entire process. Every time there's a miscommunication with a client or there's a mismatch in your expectations, go back and look at your onboarding process or your original contract or your Fiverr and Upwork page, and you're like, okay, so how can I address that and clearly communicate that to all my future clients and the new clients that are bringing on board, so that problem doesn't happen again. And just like constantly improving that entire process and setting clear expectations with your clients is by far the biggest way you can improve that entire thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's the most detailed one. Like I completely relate to it. Like that's the detailed answer. Okay. So we have from job where we with clients who always ask for do more insane money. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to get clients asking for that. Those are going to be they're usually the clients who are the most trouble and the most maintenance, right? So the answer to that depends as well. Like some of Kenji ROI's clients, they ask for small things that, they've already paid us a lot of money and they're good clients that are coming back again and again. Then a lot of those things we give to them, if it's not going to cost us that much time and money and they've been a really good customer, we're going to give it to them. But if they're just like a brand new customer or they're a customer who is known to be a problem, like they always ask for stuff or they're, a real big pain in the butt, then we need to set hard expectations with them, right? That's why expectation is so important, because if you continually give more free work to a client who is a problem client, then that becomes the expectation. And like it doesn't matter how much they paid you already. Like they're just going to continue to ask you for more and more work. So expectations just trump everything, and you do have to set those expectations with the clients who you've identified they're just not worth giving the extra free work to, and you just need to be hardline with that.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, I agree. You just need to set expectations from day one. So Adil asked, what's the correct way for utilizing Facebook group optimally?
Optimally. So, I mean, it really comes down to you got to be a little bit more indirect, right? So I think the best way to do that is to just add valuable comments onto other people's posts, right? Because a lot of Facebook groups, you go in there and you just make a big post like trying to be helpful, then the group admin's probably going to boot you out. They see here's someone who's like trying to poach a lot of my customers and my clients. But a sneakier way to do that is to just be the most valuable upvoted comment on someone else's post. So someone else makes a post. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're disconnected.
Let's see. I can hear you, Atif. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me. Yeah, okay. Looks like we're losing Atif there. Hopefully it's not an earthquake or something happening over there.
No. I just got disconnected.
We got you back?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for saving my bag. Okay.
No worries.
Okay. So we have like, okay. We were on some question. Adil asked like how to use Facebook group more optimally, like to get clients.
Yeah. So in short, I mean, at the end of the day, if you are poaching clients out of other people's Facebook groups, they're probably going to kick you out. So you can't really be very direct. If you're just joining the group and then DMing everyone in the group with your services, you're going to get booted eventually, and it's also not effective. Those people don't know you. They're very low quality people to be reaching out to. So in my opinion, the best way to do it is to make the most valuable comment on existing conversations. So rather than going into the groups and just like writing up some big blog post article style post and posting it there, that'll also get you kicked out of a lot of people's groups. Actually just go do the same thing, but as a reply to an existing post. Like someone's asking about, hey, what do you think in Amazon ads? Is it a better strategy to do this or this? And then you just write this big essay of a post on that, and then that gets a lot of replies and it gets a lot of upvotes, and that reply is actually going to start showing up in people's Facebook news feeds, right? That's when you get a good chunk of exposure. And then those people, as long as you have a well-optimized Facebook profile, they're going to be clicking back to your profile, and now they're in your funnel, right? If you have what I was mentioning before, if you have a group or a cover photo on your Facebook profile that has a link to your services or whatever it is, and you make it clear what you do, like, hey, I'm an Amazon optimization expert or whatever you want to say, then those are the people that you're going to actually get into your funnel. So as long as it's optimized in that way, that's probably the best way to do it, because if you're more direct, you're going to get booted out, and then people are going to look at you as spam, even if you do get a hold of them.
Yeah, like I agree with this. I really like the idea of having a cover photo and mentioning your services that you offer. So that's make everything pretty much clear. So we have like from Shahryar, what is the impact of word money back guarantee statement on clients? Does it create any impact when you say I offer a money back guarantee? If you don't like my services, I can offer you within like next 30 days full refund or anything.
Oh yeah, I mean, so what that does is it alleviates a lot of the pain of buying, right? So like in sales, there's always some kind of resistance to buying, right? And that resistance can be very high if you're selling something that's thousands of dollars, right? And giving a money back guarantee alleviates a lot of that pain, right? You only make the sale if the pain of buying is lower than the desire to get the end result that you're promising, right? So that's a classic way of doing that. But you got to be careful too, because you have to live up to that promise, right? And if you're giving a money back guarantee to too many people, you're not actually making any money. So if you're not actually fully willing to give a money back guarantee in situations where you spent a lot of time working on a project, and in some cases where you actually paid your own expenses to deliver the project, then you shouldn't offer the guarantee, right? You got to make a guarantee that you're actually comfortable with doing. And at the end of the day, you're never going to satisfy 100% of your clients. It's impossible. It's never going to happen. You're always going to get, 1 in 20, 1 in 30, 1 in 40 clients who is just a bad client, right? Like they're going to be asking for all the extra stuff they didn't pay for. They're going to be complaining about the delivery, and they're going to ask you for a full refund, and they're going to threaten you with a 1-star review, right? There's no getting around that, especially the bigger you get and the more people you start to serve. Percentage wise, you're just going to run into more people like that. There's always a percentage of those people. So if you're offering that guarantee, I mean, honestly, especially if you have team members that you're paying for and you could potentially lose money on projects, I wouldn't offer that guarantee. I would structure a guarantee. It doesn't have to be 100% money back guarantee. Like it could be another kind of guarantee, like guarantee some X result that you're very confident. You're like, okay, 95% of the time, when I do this service, it gets them at least X result. And you can provide that as a guarantee. That still alleviates a lot of the pain of getting the sale. But then, you're going to deliver that on that all the time, instead of having the crazy clients who are just always going to ask for a refund anyway. Just have a legitimate way to get 100% refund from you.
Oh my God. Hi, Danny. Would you mind sharing your sales funnel for new prospects?
Yeah, for new prospects. I mean, so we're lucky enough at this point with Kenji ROI that we're fairly well known in the industry. We have a lot of social proof and stuff like that. So, I mean, my sales funnel is not going to work for most of you guys down here, right? When we started out, honestly, my entire sales funnel was like on Facebook. So the sales funnel was what we've been talking about a lot more, which is just engaging with people in Facebook groups and being valuable, and then getting them onto your profile. And then maybe some of them would engage DM conversations with me, and after a while I'd engage a DM conversation with them. That's a bit of a nuanced thing too. Like if you're already interacting in comments with that person, that's really good. But if a lot of you go and try to set up Kenji ROI sales funnel for your own business, it's not going to work, right? Like it works for us because we have feature and forwards, feature and entrepreneur. We have a very good sales team that hops on a sales call with them and everything like that. So Facebook is probably what 90% of the people on this call should be focusing on as like their main funnel for new clients.
So, Danny, we have from Afaq. And hi, Danny, big fan of your triple optimization theory. Would you like to tell our audience what triple optimization theory is? I know people follow you from from our community as well. I've been following you for quite some time, and I know about this triple optimization theory. So, would you like to shed some light over this for all the other audience?
Yeah, so this is Kenji ROI's proprietary method of optimizing Amazon listings. And we use this for all of our services for copywriting, photography, video, and A+ content. It's the theory that there's three main drivers of really truly optimizing an Amazon listing. So most of you obviously know about keyword optimization, very important for showing up in search. And then persuasive desire optimization, which is just a fancy term for sales copywriting. Basically, that's the psychology of why people buy what they buy. But the third one is one that is actually the most important of the three that most people don't pay enough attention to, and that's key info optimization. So that's essentially showing customers the most key information they need to make their buying decision right on the listing in the most key places, right? So a great example, earlier today, actually, I was shopping for a very specific thing. I'm shopping for a 3.5 millimeter male-to-male mic cable, right? And if I'm not 100% certain that this listing is what I'm looking for, there's no way I'm clicking on it, right? Like I'm scanning through all the search results on the search results page, and I don't want to waste my time looking at, a 3.5 to 2.5 cable because that's not what I'm looking for. So the most key info in that scenario is 3.5 to 3.5 male mic cable, right? If that information is not super clearly stated in the first bit of the title, if it's not clearly stated in like the second image slot in all the most important places of the listing, you're just losing a lot of customers that don't want to waste their time looking for something that isn't what they're looking for, right? So identifying that super key info that your customers need to see to make that buying decision and then placing it in the most prominent places of your listing is, in my opinion, the most important thing to optimize your Amazon listing. Oh, I can't hear your audio. I don't know if that's just me or
Yeah.
there we go.
I was on mute actually. So what are the key things you should have for building your own digital agency? And you are a pro at it, like you own a digital agency, like an Amazon service agency. So what were your initial step when you were starting with this Kenji ROI project, and now you're having a team of 15 to 20 people across the globe, like people living in Pakistan and other places, right? How you manage them, and what are your key takeaway for this?
I mean, the key things is it's different at every stage of the growth of the business. There's always one or two things that are the most important things. Can you guys hear me?
यार स्ट्रीमिंग नहीं, वो स्ट्रीम यार एक तो इतना खतरनाक है क्या जलील हो गया हूं मैं
looks like we got a crazy delay going on here. But I think you guys can probably still hear me. Oh, he's coming back up. All right. Hassan says one. Yeah, you guys can still hear me. So, I mean, the real keys of an agency is different at every stage of growth. There's always one or two most important things at each stage, depending on the stage. So for right now, for our agency at about 20 employees, we're a 7-figure company. We need to scale our sales team and we need to expand our offers horizontally. Like those are the two main objectives we really need to focus on and be good at. And the ones we just kind of completed was empowering our leaders in the team, right? So like the lead copywriter and the creative director and the operations manager, just like empowering each of those people to be self-sufficient and responsible for each area of the business. And before that, it was probably marketing. Marketing was the most important thing to focus on. So it's going to be very different at every stage of growth in your agency. And just know that it becomes a different business after each revenue marker that you hit. So you get from like $0 to $5,000 a month doing one thing. But if you continue to do exactly the same things, it's not what's going to get you from 5 to 10 and from 10 to 20. It changes, right? So, I mean, the best advice I could give to anyone in that respect is really just find a mentor who is at least the next level from where you are. 1 or 2 levels, maximum 3 levels kind of ahead of where you are, that has done what you want to do, right? Because they're the ones who are going to be able to tell you exactly the things that you don't know and are going to get you there faster, right? I've spent, this year, I've already spent $100,000 on mentors, right? It's a lot of freaking money to spend on mentors, but I know that $100,000 is going to bring in much more than that in lessons that we don't have to learn the expensive and hard way. And we just don't know what we don't know, right? We don't have to make those mistakes ourselves and waste a lot of time and money. We can just pay someone to get that information faster, right?
I'm so sorry. Like I usually got like today. I don't know why I'm disconnecting all the time, and pardon my language, and I'm so mad at my internet today. Oh my God. I'm so disappointed with the internet connection. I've been planning this session with Danny for quite long time. I've been like I know Danny's very busy with his schedule, but he got some time for our community. And today I'm having a bad day with my internet. I literally got disconnected for 20 times, and thank you, Danny, for handling it. Oh my God.
No
I'm so
worries.
disappointed with it. So we have one question from Johnson, right? Hi, Danny. I love your answer. You just mentioned that we are just supposed to be handpicked or hired over those who have basic level of English written in their resume. You may or may not agree with me, but I have a hypothesis on this. Aren't we supposed to get hired based on a skill set that we offer to a client?
I mean, in a perfect world, yes, but that's not how the world operates, right? People are going to judge you based on your English speaking abilities, right? And so like me as someone who like we have 20 team members right now, and I've done quite a bit of hiring and just like had to interview a lot of people to hire those 20 people. I'm not going to lie. That's a very, very important thing that we judge on is communication skills. Because if someone's communication is not good, whether they're great at English or not, if they have poor communication, that's going to cause problems within our team, right? And to me, that's just a big red flag. Like if their English is already like really poor on their Fiverr listing or their job application, that's a good indication their communication is just not going to be good and it's going to cause problems. So in a perfect world, it makes sense that everyone is judged based on their skill set and everything like that. But at the end of the day, that's just not really how it works. Like you're going to be judged on your English skill set a lot.
Thank you, Danny. Like, okay, so we have from Noman, and he asks how we can persuasive sales in listing optimization and sales funnel.
I think you're asking about like sales copywriting. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's just an art form in itself, right? So sales copywriting, not copywriting with an R, like copywriting as in writing something out, is the term for the psychology behind the written word for selling something, right? And it's such a valuable skill set. As the owner of a company, is one of the most valuable skill sets you can learn yourself because it's basically learning the skill of selling your services. And there's no, if you're not selling your services, you don't have a business, right? It's the most important part of any business is sales. So I would really recommend a few resources. There's for like brand new beginners, there's a great book called This Book Will Teach You to Write Better by Neville M. Medora. And you can read it in about 15 minutes. And that'll take you from being a beginner at sales copywriting to understanding the basics of it and being pretty good at it. But if you want to really dive into it, there's a classic book called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene M. Schwartz. You can probably find a PDF copy of it somewhere. It's very expensive used copies, but it's considered to be like the Bible of sales copywriting. And if you read those two books, then you'll be able to write Fiverr descriptions and advertisements and like good landing pages that are going to be appealing to your potential clients. And that's a skill set you really have to learn if you're going to be good at selling your own services.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Okay, Danny, one last question from my side. Like I read somewhere you'd mentioned that you take brands on Amazon to the next level through optimization and ads. So what is the secret sauce or code of success for this, like managing a brand to bring them to this like another level?
I mean, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, the triple optimized listing method is step number one, right? It doesn't make any sense to run a whole bunch of ads and do all these crazy marketing campaigns if the foundation that all the listings are built on is just a really shaky foundation. So first thing is we need to address that. Probably go into existing listings or brand new listings if they're launching a new product. Make sure the photos are really great, the keywords are done correctly, the copywriting is really good, and just everything's as good as it can be. And then step number two is Amazon ads, right? So we don't do the full management. We're not going to do like launch services and ManyChat and all those other things too. So we just focus only on Amazon ads. But we do refer clients to some good partners. We actually have some internal courses for our clients that teach them about ManyChat and all these other things, so they can at least understand it and know what they kind of have to do and be responsible for. But the Amazon ad side is pretty much just pouring fuel on the fire. Now that we have the really solid foundation from the triple optimized listing method, then how do we get more juice out of our existing listings and really ramp up what's working already? So pretty simple formula, but I mean, there's a million things that go into what I just said.
Yeah. Okay. So, Danny, one last thing. I know, like we have asked you a couple of things, like so many things, and you're probably wondering, like, why you are answering to all this question. Like, oh my God. So, last thing, like you have been into this service business for quite long time, and in Pakistan, we are training people on like how to start this different service business. Either it's a WordPress business or a Google Shopping ad or SEO or like Facebook ads or anything like Amazon related services. What would be your one advice to all the service provider how they can scale their service businesses? So and what should be their core focus like when it's come to scaling their businesses on offering services?
Yeah, so I mean, the best advice for scaling, I mean, there's two really major things that stops people from scaling. And these are super, super common amongst freelancers who start out or small agencies that are going to stop you from getting to the next level. One of them is trying to do too many things at once. So just choose one thing. If you're choosing Google Shopping ads for Amazon, then stick with it for at least 2 years before trying to change to something else. If a client asks you to also do the Facebook ads, say no, because you don't do that, but you can refer them to someone else, right? Just you have to focus on one thing and get really, really good at it before you move on to the next thing. The second thing is not getting yourself stuck in operations. So as soon as you can start hiring people, you have enough cash flow, then you should start hiring people to fulfill in the operations so you can put your time into sales and marketing and improving systems and operations. Because if you're doing the fulfillment and the sales and the marketing, you'll very quickly reach a point where that's not scalable, and you can't scale your own waking hours in the day, right? And it makes way more sense to outsource fulfillment. So fulfillment as in actually doing the client work than it does to outsource sales. Outsourcing sales is very difficult, and it's also way more important because if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So sales, marketing, operational things is where your time should be going, and get out of the operations as soon as possible, right? So those are the two things that if you focus on those two things, then you're going to skip a lot of the big mistakes that stop you from scaling an agency. Boom. Looks like we lost him again. Who do we got here? Are you saying work on Amazon ads more than Facebook and ManyChat? No, that's not really what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying focus on one thing here. It's totally valid. I know people who have a ManyChat agency and they do very well, right? But they're not trying to do Amazon ads and ManyChat because then you have to hire different employees that are going to help you scale that. You're going to have to make different systems and different processes for each one of those things. And you just can't scale two things at the same time. You just can't do it unless you have like a business partner who's like really focused on that. It's just not possible to become really good at two things at the same time.
Hi, Danny. Danny, are you with me?
We got you.
Okay. Yeah. So, Danny, thank you so much for being here. And like, it's been 1 hour. You have been constantly answering all the questions. Like, oh my God, that's a wonderful session that you have shared ton of knowledge with people who want to scale their businesses, who are already in the service business. You have shared some gems with them, like how they can scale their businesses and what should be the right approach towards it. And like we have discussed Amazon a little, but we were towards this agency model, right? Like how to scale agency model, how you can create your own agency and how you can start like small, how you can scale it to a level where you have like 20, 30, 40, 50 people working for you and you are running an agency, and how you can enjoy your entrepreneur lifestyle, right? This is how you can get time to ride a motorbike and like roaming around the city and enjoying all the cool weather of Bali. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much for being here. It was pleasure having you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on here. And I would just say, if the best place, if anyone wants to continue to follow the stuff that we do, would be my
Yeah.
Facebook group. You guys click on my Facebook profile, Danny Carlson, you'll see a link to that Facebook group. So, pleasure coming on and meeting the Pakistani Amazon seller community here. It's really cool to see what you built over here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And guys, pardon for my French. I was totally mad when it's my internet was lost like multiple time during the session. I was like, and pardon for my French. I know some of people hear my French, and I'm really sorry for it because I thought I was on mute and I was Frenching myself all the time for this internet connection. Oh, it
That makes it
was
more interesting. Wouldn't be a good live stream without some live bloopers, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you, Danny. People are loving it already. People are loving it. They're saying, thank you so much, brother Danny and brother Atif. Thank you for your thank you so much. And thanks, Danny. I really appreciate your advice of choosing one skill and build a business on it. Like people loved it. Amazing session. Uh People love it. Like people of Pakistan, they are amazing. If they start loving someone, then they will follow you everywhere.
Yeah, we actually already had like quite a large following from Pakistan there. So I'd
Yes.
imagine I didn't know exactly how big the Pakistani Amazon seller community here is. It looks like you're really engaged and strong community here. That's great.
Yes, yes, they are. Yes. Thank you, Danny. Pleasure having you. Uh, like I will invite Danny once again, right? For sure. Like I will invite Danny for other topics, right, Danny?
Yeah, let me know if you want to have me back on here in the
Yeah, for
future,
sure,
and we can do it again. I'd
for
be
sure,
happy to.
for sure. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right, take care, guys. Cheers.
Take care.